Okay, so what's the time? We're looking at just hit 5 p.m. Oh, look at that. The game's actually thanking me for setting the clock. Don't even have a way of knowing if the times you're setting are correct. Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Since you've been so cooperative, next time you boot up the game and see this screen, just set the clock to your favourite time. Go ahead, but whichever time you want, even if it's not the correct time, you've earned it. Alright, I'll let you get back to the video game now. Aw, how considerate of a video game. Alright, I can't remember where we left off last night.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee
welcome,
number
Colin Ray.
427's job was simple. He sat
We'll
at his
continue on
desk
playing
in
this
room
game from yesterday.
427,
I'm not 100% sure where we left off, but we'll
Orders
jump straight
came to
in.
him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order.
Not sure, are you familiar with this game? Were you with us yesterday? I can't remember.
Every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not
I've seen little
one
snippets of this
single
game and thought it
order
was
had
quite
arrived
interesting,
on the monitor
so
for him to follow.
we
No
booted
one
it
had
up
showed
yesterday and
to
gave it a
give him
go.
instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Okay, so we got control now. Let's see, meeting today. A whole bunch of other things. Hate Mondays.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh, should we take the bucket today? Pick it up, take it, leave it. We'll take it with.
A strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
Door shut. Door shut.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh, should we listen to it? Should we listen to it? No.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was.
This is fuel.
How insightful the bucket... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley
hang
did
on,
not
there's a
question
path
why
just
or
down
how this
there.
bucket was speaking to him.
How do I get there?
It should have
To get
alarmed
that
him,
Stanley
of course, because
figurine.
buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
How do I get down there?
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley
Dark room.
once again obeyed blindly.
Dark room? I can't see no dark room. Oh, there's a dark room. Ooh, what's gonna be in here? What's gonna be in here? Alright, let's find out.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone.
Alright.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
What's this cup say? I like... something. I like... something. Can't read it. Oh, there's the bucket, my friend. Press T to talk.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance
No
Bucket
worries,
was
best of luck
merely
with
meant to
that.
provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk.
Maybe
and
if you
give
undo
orders.
the S bend underneath your sink,
Whatever
you might be able to
Stanley is
sort
hearing
it
the
out.
bucket say to
Just
him
maybe put
is
a towel
just in
down
his
first.
head.
What? How did I make it back here? Where's my bucket? My bucket's gone. Oh, there it is. Hello, bucket.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Be my Valentine. Now I'm back to
Try
work.
anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Press H to hear. Don't listen to the loud man. Press H for us to go back home. Alright.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
To ignore everyone in your life except for me. Okay.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Press Y to go back home.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Press Q to relive this same day with me over and over and over. Oh, okay.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular
Hey, I'm
bucket?
locked in my room. No. I feel like I'm in a horror movie.
having feelings. For the bucket. No, 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 no. What's going on?
This
Why
is
do I
getting a
want
bit-
to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong
This is
with me? I
getting
don't
a bit
understand.
creepy.
Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
An intimate romantic night with the bucket. Ooh.
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Alright. Go back to work. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Ah, the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Ah, that's how we get there.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've
Woohoo,
nearly
5 of
gotten
6.
all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Oh, now where am I? Oh, cassette tapes. Oh, nothing behind here? Nope. Nothing over here? Nope. Nope, nothing. Nope. Nope.
Okay, this is day number 295, tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every
This guy's
time
got an obsession
I
with the
pick it
bucket.
up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it.
Has anyone seen that actually,
Haven't figured out
Where it's got
why
forward and
I
reverse,
see
it's
the
set to
world
reverse.
so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This
ooh, he's onto
is
an
my
idea there.
golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
It's the bucket. Alright, that's quite weird. Alright. Next one.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Let's leave the bucket behind this time. See what it says.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
A bridge. Alright.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
I've got the feeling money's for stealing. But not yours, of course. Something that's a lovely purse. I can't make out what that first word is.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Okay. Let me out.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Now where am I going?
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
No,
Control
we're going to go this escape
Facility.
route this time.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yes. Ooh.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no
Ooh,
great
gonna get
loss,
crushed.
like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
No! Don't crush me!
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led
Oh, a different
helplessly
one.
into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
No! Ooh, I escaped. I faked my own death. The Stanley Parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Okay, so this is the office. Alright, yep, that's the first room. That's the second room. Oh, and this is where we choose left or right. Nope, can't touch these doors. Nope, nope. Can't go behind them. A section of sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of keyboard strokes and a synthesized tone. What's over here? Office computers. Ooh, solitaire. And what's this? Yep, it's just filing cabinets. Credits. Okay, yep. Ooh, left or right? Left or right? We'll go left. Hey, I haven't seen all the money one. How do we get all the money? From art regarding your game in the works, the narrator. No, 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 don't change it. I was trying to read that. If the Stanley Parable is really going to let me go shopping, I hope it... How do you make a JRPG? How do you make the worst game ever? What is the difference between a duck? How is the game going? I hope it's good or better than the first one. From a cool man. Are you a rock? The lounge. What happens when it hits 0? Oh, it just resets. Cargo lift. Where's the cargo lift? I haven't seen the cargo lift yet. The second version functioned the same as what is in the final game, but we wanted it to look a little bit like a place where cargo was actually stored. I haven't found that room. I haven't found that room. Maintenance layout. The following hallways following the 2 first doors was important to get right since players will rely on them so many times. We discussed a number of designs, but ultimately it was the simplest version that won out. What's this one? It's ending. Haven't seen that section. Oh, hang on. Something just disappeared. What was that? Ooh, that looks like it might be the ending room. Stanley's office. Alright, I think we've looked at everything here.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
That was a bit meaty.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ooh, do it. Alright, I'll take the
The
bucket. this
bucket
time.
made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to him. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Alright.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere.
I've already done this one.
Isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
Shoo, should I put the bucket in this time?
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
It's not letting me put it in.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the
I'm
bucket
trying to put it
destroyer
in.
will do if it can't destroy your bucket.
I'm trying to put the bucket in.
Is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and... The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend.
Well, I couldn't put the bucket in.
That you were
I tried.
here, you were.
I tried to save the Bucket Destroyer. Now, what happens if I go down there without the bucket?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go,
Oh, I've already done this one.
From here, it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
I'm going through here, I think.
It's clearly... Oh, dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
All right, let's go.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time,
don't restart the game.
Suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley...
What?
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Oop, I'm on the other side of the door now.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart
I'm
the
back
game
here.
again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
No, I was just still exploring.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
Where's
memo.
my bucket? Where's my bucket? I want my bucket. That room looks different.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now
We're
this...
back in here.
Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since
Hi,
I've
Olive.
completely
Well,
forgotten
welcome to
what
the
we were
stream.
supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations!
Yoo-hoo, I won.
I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job.
Not really. I'm just trying to,
I don't feel right about
figure
this
out
at
where I
all.
was up to.
We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square.
Looks like
and this
it.
was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable
Where is my
adventure
bucket?
line.
I want my bucket.
Just follow the line. How simple is that? You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa.
Yes, it
Hang
is.
on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. Wait, cut the music. Go back and look at that fern. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Day was good today. I went out, got some breakfast, went for a walk down the beach. It was good. Went to the shops.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Stanley Parable 2 Adventure Line.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us?
Yes, my parents have come to visit me today, and they're going to be staying overnight, so...
Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Big family gathering, was it? For Mother's Day?
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley.
Enjoy it.
I'm ready for it.
Those sorts of days don't last forever.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Yeah, well, my parents come to stay with me tonight, so, they're all down there having dinner at the moment.
A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How
And they'll probably head off to bed very shortly. They always go to bed very early.
In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay. So
that's
I know
good.
that each door has to lead somewhere. Which means that
cut
somewhere,
donuts.
the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our
that's making me dizzy.
destination corresponds
All right,
with
I'm
the
gonna stop doing that.
counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask,
Yeah, they
will
do.
taking the
They
right
get up really
door
early in the
lead
morning
us to
too.
where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all
Yeah, they're
accounts,
usually in bed
the
by
door on the
7:30
right
at night,
is the
but then
correct
again,
one.
they're usually back
Another
up by
victory for
4:30 in
logic.
the morning, so...
Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game
my dad used to start happily head off to work usually about 5:30 in the morning,
That's really how all this goes? It's all determined?
this is a bit of
So
a
now,
routine, I
according to
think.
the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall.
I'm trying to find the baby.
You consulted me. Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean...
Do you know how to get to the baby
did we
ending?
do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Because it was actually showing a picture of a baby,
So,
saying that the
okay.
one's from the original game.
I guess now we just wait. You know,
So I'm trying to find where
I
they can find
suppose
the
in
baby.
some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
All right, guess we're restarting. Oh, no, we're not.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
Bucket.
it mean?
Bucket, come back,
Not
Bucket.
everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
Yes, I'm very lucky.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Why, thank you, narrator. Now, I've still got one more Stanley parable or Stanley figurine to find. It's not in there.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket
don't-
walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Yeah, I got one from down here, didn't I? It was under the stairs. It was down here, so I don't think I should need to go there again. I've got one from the bathroom.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
The bucket's my master. I'm the bucket master. Or the bucket's puppet? Bucket's puppet.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will
Oh,
be
okay.
fine.
Alright, well, we'll wait for the restart and then we'll give it a go.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
We might have to leave the bucket behind. Oh, we'll try it with the bucket and try it without. How about that? Let's see what
The
happens.
monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Don't worry, bucket. I'll protect you.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do?
Oh, there's my picture.
Or not want to do
427.
in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. for he and the bucket
Ooh,
would
do we turn it
dismantle
on
the
or turn it
controls
off?
for
What do you
good.
think?
Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have
bucket's the
betrayed him like
mastermind.
this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds.
Oh, that's right.
Silly.
We saw this.
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling
bit of a
silly
weird
birds
beak, that
all
one.
over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the
A bit of
bucket
a
known
mohawk
this all
going on there.
along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket
Happy
never
feet.
found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
We were happy. We died happy. Flicking through them all.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided
Okay,
to go
so
to the
how do I
meeting
get
room.
to this
Perhaps he had simply
baby?
missed a memo.
Take the bucket or no bucket? Ah, good morning, Lucky. We're trying to get to the baby.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he
Left or
entered
right
the
there,
door on
Olive?
his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before.
I'm trying to
Was it
find
this
myself
room?
in this game.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Which way there, Olive? Well, to the cargo or...
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Okay, so I can fall onto that one.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you...
Ah!
What?
Oh,
Really?
ooh, save that.
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show
Oh,
you
Loki,
something
you know
beautiful.
I'm too old for a midlife
Let me
crisis.
prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Ooh, now which way? Straight ahead? Blue door 3 times.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Mid-century crisis. Blue door 3 times. Okay.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly.
How can I go through the blue door?
Through the red door. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would
I want to
made
see a
this game
baby.
better?
I want a
What did
baby.
you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far.
I'm telling you, narrator, I want
Tell
a
you what.
baby.
Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before.
Ooh, do I take
Go
the red
ahead,
door there,
Stanley.
Ollie Will?
Take it for a spin.
Play it for 4 hours. What? I'm not going to sit and play the baby game for 4 hours.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical
Look, I
feedback
could do it off
here.
stream, but I wouldn't put you guys through 4 hours of it. Feedback. Please rate your experience. Is 1 the best or is 5 the best? It doesn't tell you.
Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Clearly there's something here that speaks to you. If I can be honest here, I really don't have any idea where I'm going with this. This whole third door thing was just a stab in the dark. But I guess you're into it, so let's keep this party train rolling. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Aww. I'm rated last. Hey, they were trolling me just then. Did you see that? Said ask for them friends for help. Friends list is empty. Alright, back into the red room.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
You're getting a 2.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting.
Just facts.
You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up.
Getting roasted by my own
In this game,
chat now.
the baby
Ooh,
crawls
there's the
left
baby.
towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Do I let the baby go into the fire? Alright. This time.
heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see.
Skyrim.
What do we have here?
Let's play Skyrim.
Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up
Yeah, I
high
do
in
have
your
Skyrim
creep tower,
Special Edition.
perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a
Firewatch. Do
fascinating
you like
adventure into the
Firewatch?
experience of total
Never
mental
experienced it.
depravity. So far, I love everything
I played a
about
lot
this
of
game,
Skyrim,
Stanley.
though.
And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there. Oh, no. No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off.
Hey, no.
Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh,
Yeah, like
thank
Skyrim.
heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big
Rocket
box
League.
for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly
Crowd control
do we
with
do here?
Skyrim. Oh, well, I
Let's
can
see.
see if crowd
There are
control
lots of
works on
cars here in the
Skyrim.
back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what
We're playing
fun.
sports ball.
We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together.
Woohoo,
Yes,
touchdown.
I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun. Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Hold on. What are you doing?
You think only 100 character digits is going to blow my computer up, do you?
I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story
You've seen the
without
stats
me?
on my
You
computer.
can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Hey! Okay. Ooh. Now it looks like we're in a horror show. The Shining or something. Here's Johnny. $427 is my number. Hey, what's this? It's creepy. 425. 426, 427. Ooh. Hey, it looks like my setup at home. No, it doesn't. Hey, look, I'm streaming, Mum. I'm DJing. Now what am I supposed to do? What? Why did it go blank?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon.
Ooh, he sounds like an evil mastermind. Ooh, or he's got a god complex, one of the two.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Bucket this time?
It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on it.
Let's go back where we were with the bucket.
To the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not
This
to
is a
think about
special
this
bucket.
obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Yes, I did. I'm a bucket drone. Okay, so blue
No,
door.
stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says,
No, I want
no
blue door.
buckets past this point. Stanley, how could
Ah.
you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
I've already
suppose
seen
that
this
would
one.
explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed.
Are there any
quickly
other
and
endings that
properly.
I haven't witnessed
So
yet?
much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket.
Alright, thanks for reminding
Okay,
me.
let's begin.
I'll do that. Press the green button, press the green button, press the
Item
green
1.
button.
Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct.
Ooh,
This
I got
is
it right.
a bucket.
I got it all right.
Item 4. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
It could.
Is this a bucket?
Ooh. I got them all right so far. I don't want to mess up my streak. What do we think? Do we get a yes or no?
Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight,
a
Stanley.
bucket is nothing.
Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago, I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No,
Okay,
no, don't take my bucket away. All right, it's a meanie.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket?
Yes,
Every
everything's a
single thing
bucket.
in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Get my blanket. Ugh. I'm all comfy now. All right.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
How do I get in there? So leave the bucket behind this time? We can leave the bucket behind.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I'm wondering if we've already done all the endings. What is if we go this way and we
This
go
was
through the
not the
right
correct
door?
way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
We've seen quite a few of the endings. Is there
And
any way to
here it
keep track
was.
of how many endings you've seen?
The lounge. What a room, Stanley thought to himself. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
There's still one more Stanley figurine
Stanley
that I
was so
haven't
bad at
found.
following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Because the people
I'm
who
not
play
your
this game are
enemy,
odd.
Really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone
we
you've
could
been
try.
neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
What? Really?
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Stanley figurine!
And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing
we're
right
going
now.
around.
Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
He's gonna kill me, isn't he? He wants me to stop.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
What happens when they all reach the top? Anything? Ooh, pretty. No, I can't walk off the edge. Alright, we've probably seen enough. Let's get out of here.
No, wait.
Oh,
Where are you
yeah,
going?
garlic yum. Garlic bread. That's really good.
Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
Is he expecting me to commit suicide? I don't know if I'd eat garlic on its own. Oh, then again, you can get pickled garlic, can't you? Pickled garlic's supposed to be really good for you. I might slip.
No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
No. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Whee!
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you actually want to stay alive. Or are you just teasing me? I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I still thought that was possible.
Should have kept doing it? I can go back. It's making me walk really slow now.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Oh, poor narrator. Hang on, something's different.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with
What's hiding
inner
around the
richness?
corners there?
Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
When Stanley found the collectibles. I don't recall this being here the first time.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Hey, you got 7 of 6.
And here was a second Stanlerine.
You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your 3rd mini Stan? Can you remember?
It was under the stairs.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, under the stairs. It was the 3rd one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your 3rd time doing anything. Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room,
No,
but
we were
it's
never
here
in a
in the
pink room.
memory zone, so it must have happened. This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion.
Well, you did pretty good then. Woohoo! High five!
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
8 minutes. Ooh, can we jump? Oh, you could probably do a better job than a lot of the writers that are there now. They're making crappy films lately.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Yep, that was about right. Ooh, this is some Matrix sort of crap.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone. No, I'm not done.
Look at
I'm
me,
not
Mom,
ready to
I'm on
move on.
TV.
Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Oh, do it again.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember
13 to
this.
6.
I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool video.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Do I go to the boss's office just to see? Nah.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figlarines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this? Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on.
Jump,
I
jump,
remember
jump,
hating
jump, jump.
it back then. But time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories.
No, not letting me jump.
Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Oh, which one do I go in? Oh, doesn't matter.
And before everything else, there was your office.
No, let me out. Let me out.
Is there
Let me
anything
out.
else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what?
Is he getting rid of me,
Since
is he?
we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good.
No!
I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Is this really going to be my last time?
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Nope. Now, was there one scenario where you could actually go out the window? I thought that there was. Right, do we want the bucket? Hey, this is different. I've never seen this one. Oh, they're all displaying it now. Hey, 243 stacks all together. Here's the one that nobody liked. Now, what is it? The mystery? Now, how the mighty have fallen. That's what it says. Who farted cup? Alright, bucket or no bucket? What do you reckon? Yeah,
Stanley
bucket.
cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective yet delicate, assertive yet compassionate.
Ooh, sounds like I love the bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket.
I can't
know
hand
how
over the
hard
bucket.
it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I
Yes,
never...
sadly so.
Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments.
The broom
Expand
closet,
on the
you
wide
get me.
variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years.
The bucket was there
Let
for
him
me
have
when I was
it.
hungover and sick and I needed somewhere to throw up.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion.
I got a stick.
Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
I got a sticker.
All right, coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Oh, got another sticker. To be rich, is it a crime? To commit crimes, isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one. That didn't really rhyme that well.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his
Drink all this
darkest of
alcohol.
hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
If this is the last one, I wonder if it's going to give me a different ending.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
That's a lot of TV watching.
The monitors jumped
That's
to
what
life, and Stanley nearly dropped the
Netflix
bucket in
addicts
shock.
lounge room
Everyone
looks
in
like.
the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Ah, dedicated Netflix
Was the
watcher.
bucket under the mind control facility's
Gotcha.
influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do
247,
things
there's
it
me.
didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point,
Bucket's
he
my
could trust
friend.
no one except for the bucket.
That's right. The bucket won't betray me.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking,
Well, I can't
eating,
remember
working,
actually
all of it
pressing
monitored
the
and
off
commanded
button
from this very place.
with the
As
bucket.
the cold reality
press
of
the
his past
on button,
began
but not
to
the
sink
off
in,
button.
Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over?
Ah.
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
I didn't even know it was an option, Loki.
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a
No,
precious
let me out,
bucket
let
in
me
his
out.
arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
we're back here. Have we done all the endings now?
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
How do I get out the window? Achievements on Steam, you reckon? I've unlocked 4 of 11 achievements. Okay. I've got to press on the keypad 888888888888. Speedrun completed in under 4 minutes 22 seconds. Super go outside. Don't play the Stanley Parable for 10 years. What? How do I get that achievement? Play the Stanley Parable for the entire duration of a Tuesday. How do I do that? One of them says test achievement, please ignore. Ah, okay. Okay, settings world champion. Set all settings sliders to in the menu to all the available numbers. Alright. Settings. Ooh, what's that one? That's that Russian, is it? Looks like it might be Russian. Any of you guys know? And what's that one? Polish.
This is a man named...
Ah, okay. Okay, thank you. I think that's my settings. That didn't give me a an achievement? No? So what is the achievement? Test set all setting sliders in the menu to all available numbers. I did all this though.
This is the story of Stanley.
Ah. Is that what I was missing? No? That didn't give me the achievement either. Okay. Hey, I got extra stickers on the bucket now. All the screens are back. As if I grab the bucket.
Stanley's bucket, the only co-worker he would ever truly need.
Nope, I can't get out the window. How do I get out the window? Can anyone figure that one out for me and we'll do it?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he
Crouch.
had left his post during work hours.
What
He
button?
might be
It's
fined
crouch,
for that.
though.
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance.
Well, I feel
and
like we're
wisdom
getting
for
to the
me
end
in
of this
difficult
game.
times such as these. He held the bucket close. He had felt
What
none of
game
its
do you think we
familiar
should play next?
reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my
Was
bucket.
that interest
It's
I
just a
detected
normal,
before for
everyday
Skyrim?
bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up
Something
with
different.
someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone
Hey, I'm
truly
flying.
mad. Where is it? I must find it.
Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity.
Yeah, my
And then
bucket had
suddenly,
stickers on it.
He froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredible.
Dirty Stanley.
Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Oh, I'd be doubled over in agony too.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket.
No, I've got a bucket.
Of course, he'd
Just
gone
don't look
mad,
where it is.
ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion
This
and it's
lady's
all
wrong.
just a
I've got a
video
bucket.
game. It could
Just
all
don't
have been
start looking for
prevented
it.
if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance
Well,
and
stuff
total
me, that's
clarity
a
on
first.
everything. Heck yes, she
Haven't
thought
seen
to
that one
herself,
before.
My life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work. A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
$434. Hey, I'm through the window.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to
you
drink
definitely
it
get
all
your
in?
X-ray up on the wall in the radiology
Okay, I'm over it
department.
now. What do you think?
Of
Are you sick
one
of
of the
this
most
gag
weirdest
yet?
things they've seen inside of a human body. Am I sick of this gag?
Ah, then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to
They
fit
would
that
be, and
answer?
they'd be showing all their
Perhaps you
friends.
never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place.
If you weren't dead, you'd probably
now,
wish you
think
were
about it.
by the time
Would it be
the
worth it
word
for you
got
to
out.
restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough.
Oliver, you
how
were in,
tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option.
intensive
Indeed,
care, weren't you?
are one of the lucky ones. Though if the
Or was
other
that-
option is really
was that
miserable
somebody
to
else?
listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well, now,
So you'd
I've
be
built up the other
you'd be
options
privy to
so
a whole
much
bunch of that sort
I'm
of
going
stuff
to
too.
stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game,
or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
um. What am I supposed to do here? Run! Run away, Forrest, run! How do I get out of here? What am I supposed to be doing here?
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on...
Is Stanley, without the bucket, really Stanley at all? No. No, surely not.
Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear.
We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first
I would have
time, I
said
can
that
reveal to
ICU
you
probably
my
would have been
true
a depressing
self.
time at the height of
The bucket
COVID.
began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket?
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
I
Stanley
understood half
screamed
of
even
that.
louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley,
Poor bucket!
you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power.
Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Is there anything more we need to do? I think we might have done it all. Do we take the bucket? No bucket. Yes, bucket. No bucket. Yes, bucket. I think we've done everything. This looks different.
As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets everywhere. This adventure, he decided, was for all of them. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I think we are done with this game.
Still no one
I
was
can't think
here.
of anything more to do.
Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket
You would have
guiding
watched
him? Yes.
the TV
This
show
is certainly
Scrubs,
the
wouldn't
most
you
logical
have Olive Oil?
explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
I think we've done everything in this game. I think this is just, we're just repeating things
Although
now.
this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Scrubs isn't a
As the
A
machine
drama
whirred
as
into
such.
motion, and
Scrubs
Stanley
is
and the
a
bucket
comedy.
inched closer to their
A medical
demise,
comedy.
Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Yeah, Scrubs is quite. I found quite funny.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
I'm not too sure if it's realistic or not. You'd probably be a better judge of that than me. Sorry, but it's more a comedy based upon the interactions between doctors and nurses and residencies and things like that.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold. Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
Alright, I think we're done with this game.
No man can
So
own
shall I
a
try and load up
bucket,
Skyrim
and
then?
certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Look at me, I'm flying.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right
yes, I'd
this
start a new
terrible
game.
wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Alright then, unless you can think of anything else for us to do in this game, we might call that one there. And we'll, I'll get quickly set up and we'll have a bit of Skyrim, I guess. No, my Skyrim isn't modded at all. Alright, I'm just getting it set up now. Alright then. Alright, well we should be ready to go then. What I might do is just quickly stop this stream so that we can make a defined break in the recording videos. And we'll continue with Skyrim. So I'll stop the stream and then restart.